We now return to It's Supernatural.
Hello, Sid Roth here with Franklin Walden. And Franklin, there are so many miracles in my notes. I don't know where to start, but maybe I'll start at age 12. You had a vision from God. Tell me about that.
I was at age 12 when God carried me up above the heavens, into the heavens, and looking down over the earth. I saw the whole world, its sickness, diseases. I saw the problems, and He spoke and said, you will see this, you will speak, and you'll minister to these people.
Okay, so when you were 12, you were caught up in the heavenlies. You saw a world filled with sick people, and that you would help these people.
Take healing to them.
Take healing to them. Okay, go ahead.
And today plays a big part in that. After we waited on the vision, I didn't know how it ever come about, but God had you prepared for this day, the supernatural. Because it takes something supernatural to perform something like that.
With satellites,
right,
etc., TV in every home. So you believe that vision you had at age 12 is going to be fulfilled right now during this telecast that you're watching. Now, Franklin, tell me about some of these. There's no other words. Tell me about the girl that had no pupil in her eye.
She was just blind, born that way, and we prayed for her under the big gospel tent. And God created two beautiful eyes. I mean, perfect eyes.
Well, what went on inside of you when you watched and you saw just a mass of nothing, and then all of a sudden, could you tell the color of the eyes?
Oh, yeah.
What color?
Brown.
Brown. What was going on inside of you?
I got beside myself. I'd never seen that before in my life. And two eyes created. And it just, it got a hold of me. The anointing came, and I knew that God, He was in charge and performed that miracle for that little 6, 7-year-old girl.
How about the person that had no kneecap?
Well, a person tried to rape her, and they was trying to get the gun away. The gun went off and shot her kneecap out. And so she came on the platform that night, and the auditorium was having a healing crusade, and she said that they had no kneecap. I said, well, let me see. So she showed it to me in the congregation, and it was stiff, no kneecap. And I said, well, I just believe God can create you one. And we prayed, and right before the eyes of the congregation, the kneecap came in, and she could bend that knee just like she had a brand new. Well, she did. She had a brand new one.
But when something like that happens, I know what it would do for me if I saw that with my eyes. When the audience saw this creative miracle, did many other people get healed?
Oh, yeah. And I had a Southern Baptist preacher there and his wife, and they saw it. And today he's praying for the sick and received the baptism. And I'll tell you, he's carried it across the country.
Okay, tell me about the person that fell from a tree. Tell me about that healing.
I was just out singing at the auditorium that night and walked over to it. I'd never seen the fellow before in my life. And I said, you believe God can give you a miracle tonight? And he said, nothing like that, you know. Well, you know, you might not. And I said, well, he's going to do it. So I sang a little song, and I took him by the hand, raised him up, and still I hadn't asked him what's wrong with him. I saw the crutches there, and he walked him back and forth in front of the stage, and when he did, I went back and I told him, I said, pick up the crutches now, and he picked his crutches up and went back. After that, I said, well, I haven't even asked you what's wrong with you. He said, I fell out of a tree, and I busted this leg, and they had to rebuild this leg with a plastic knee and everything, and 2 or 3 vertebrae was crushed, and God created those vertebrae back in his back, and he began to run, and found out he was the pastor of a church. And a whole row of people in the front knew him very well, and he was instantly healed by the power of God.
Now, Franklin, it seems to me, in getting to know you, that what you're describing is not the big exception. That's the way it's supposed to be normally. Someone said that your life would touch Jewish people in Israel. Explain that.
This man I sat at his feet when I was a young minister. He told me just before he went on to heaven, he said, the ministry that you have will reach, and the Jews will accept it. They will accept this ministry and the message you preach.
Tell me one Jewish person that you prayed for a miracle that accepted Jesus.
I was at Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. A couple of Jewish boys was there, and they just happened to drop in, actually to get out of the storm, I think. It was snowing and icy that night. And after the service was over, they were still hanging around the book table. And they said, we don't believe in this. We don't believe in that Jesus. And I said, well, what would it take for you to believe? And they said, we don't know. I said, well, what if you brought somebody here that you knew that was blind, or crippled, or needed a miracle? Would you believe? Said, no. I said, well, what would it take? So it happened to one of us. I said, well, what's wrong with you? And they said, nothing. One of them spoke up and said, oh, yes, there is too. You flat-footed because they would take you in the army. And I said, well, pull your boots off. Had them old snow boots on. He pulled them off, and I looked at his feet, pulled his socks off too, before you could see them clean. I said, keep your eyes on your feet. They was as flat as they could be. I mean, you couldn't be no flatter. And I looked, and I prayed, and God created two of the most beautiful arches in that Jew's feet that you'd ever seen. Perfect. Of course, God, everything he does is perfect.
And once he had a miracle, he wanted to know the God of miracles. That's normal. How would the world be normal? Well, it's going to be normal when we come right back, because I'm going to have Franklin pray for you for two things. I'm going to have him pray for you to be physically healed. You need a creative miracle, whatever you need, and pray for you to catch the same presence of God that's on him. You're going to catch it, and you're going to be able to pray for people, have the same results. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this word.
We'll be right back to It's Supernatural.